So we've seen how to develop the DMF versus frequency ratio curve for various value of damping for force vibration with harmonic excitation. Now let us understand where we are going to use this particular curve. So if I plot any curve like this, any shape of the curve like this, you can see I can take any single shape here and plot. You can see this is my DMF versus R. Then what are the different component of this particular dynamic magnification factor? So if you see the first case, if you remember, which is this case, which is if I'm taking my value, which is this is you can see your peak is very nearer to the 1 or just before you can see the 1. You can calculate with help of this particular formula, that is the maximum value of DMF. You can calculate with this, we have already seen, and the value of R where this particular maximum is been reaching, that you can calculate from this formula for this particular vibrating case. Now in this formula, when this particular DMF is going to become or going to become equivalent to 1. So if you see the ratio as per definition, which is excess of T to the static displacement, if this two become equal, or this particular ratio which has been equivalent to 1, then you can say that my DMF is equal, right? So both the amplitude is nearly equal. In this condition, you will say that it will be a maximum value. Or so this excess T, we have already defined, it is nothing but m into P upon m omega square. P upon m omega square, agar if you remember, just now we have established omega is equal to under root of k by m. So we have said it is nothing but P by k. So here P is the force and k is the stiffness. So when my DMF is equivalent to 1, I can say that when my DMF is equivalent to 1, you can see this DMF is equivalent to 1 at this particular point. So in this case, what is governing is the stiffness. If you can actually get hold of this particular stiffness, then I think you can design this particular foundation for your machine. So here, so at very close to this particular y-axis line, I will defining this particular zone, right? Which is very close to this line, right? So if I say this is very close to this line, which is means I mean to say this is what my zone is, right? So this is what my zone is, and this zone is nothing but my stiffness controlled zone. So this is my stiffness control zone, right? Because it is depending upon the value of K, right? So this is the first zone I'm defining it. Now let us see further the same graph. I will try to define the other zone. Like for example, if I take the value of R, means the lambda by omega ratio, which is very high, means on this side. Here you can see this R value is very high, right? So I am taking somewhere here. So if you see, if my value of R is very high, in this case, the operating frequency is much greater than the value of natural frequency. Now, what do you mean by this? If you see in a physical term, what is exactly the situation is? Now, when you are designing your machine foundation, this basically the lambda is nothing but the lambda is my operating frequency of the machine or the exciting frequency of machine. So probably as a civil engineer, I do not have any control over the value of lambda, because this value I used to get it from my client or from the machine foundation, from the machine manufacturer basically, because he knows that for how much you can say the frequency is machine is going to be rotating. So for this particular value, I do not have any control. And for this particular lambda, I need to design my foundation which can take care of the vibration which has been produced by that machine which is having a frequency of lambda. So that is what my task is. So this particular thing I do not have any control. Yes, then I have a control over this, which is the natural frequency of the system or the natural frequency of the foundation. Now, if you see omega is equal to, as per definition, it is nothing but under root of k by m. So in this term, if I increase the value of m, if I take increase, as I'm going to increase the value of m, definitely my omega value will be reduces. If I put k is equal to constant, right? So my omega value will reduces, right? As my omega will reduces, then this r will become on this side, right? It will become higher and higher as I am increasing my foundation values. So what is happening is, as I am increasing this m value, means if I denote in a physical term, for example, this is what my foundation is, and over which you are putting, this is the machine. Okay, this is what my machine is, which will produce the frequency of lambda, right? And this particular foundation I'm going to design with the frequency of omega. So basically, I will put in omega, this m will actually increase in a such a way that I will put a big mass over here, big rigid mass. What will happen? So big mass, so that it will cater the, you can see the vibration of this. So if you see here, in this case, if you have put the big mass of the foundation here, then you can see the value of DMF is even less than the value which is being plotted here. You can see this is a static displacement. I supposed to say this is a 1, what we have defined, which is the stiffness control zone just now, which is nothing but where my, you can say the dynamic displacement is equal to the static displacement. But if you see here, the DMF is even less than 1. If you put the value of m is more than this. So this will happen in the case where your foundation is, if you control the omega. So this is my second zone. If I consider this is my second zone, which is on rightward side of this. So this is nothing but it will be controlled by value of m. So this is nothing but it is my mass controlled zone, right? So these two zones I have defined. This is my zone number 1 and this is my zone number 2. And now this is a third zone where your expertise will actually come. This zone is nothing but your stiff, you can say this damping control zone or the damper control zone. In this, either the stiffness or the mass will not comes into the picture, but only the stiffness will comes into the picture. So this is what my stiffness control zone, that is, will come into the picture. So if you want to design a machine foundation system, which is, and you need to find out where your operating ratio of operating frequency to the machine foundation frequency has been coming, you can design your foundation in such a way that it will not reach to the value of 1. So this ratio should not be nearing to the 1. In such cases, you can actually design your foundation in a safe way. You should not design more conservative. You should not put very heavy foundation, because it will add to the cost, and at the same time you cannot put the foundation which is very, very thin, which cannot resist by the static load even, right? So generally it has been said, if your foundation is satisfy the condition of static 1, then it will also satisfy the condition of dynamic condition if my R value is higher, right? So you can see this dynamic magnification factor is even less than 1. So if you design your foundation which catering to this, then I think for all this value, it will be fine. So your foundation should be designed with the static displacement in this case, right? So this way, this concept you can use for designing the machine foundation system. This is the basic concept has been actually roped in. I hope it is clear. Let us go further. So whatever the definition I have physically given from this graph, I will try to give the mathematical expression of the same. by means of this Maxwell diagram. I hope you know the Maxwell diagram. It is nothing but it is your graphical method of defining the force polygon. You might have learned this particular thing in the applied mechanics. So this I'm trying to put it. So for the same case, what we have designed is, if you remember the equation, which is x of t is equal to mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx, which is the governing equation of motion, is equal to f of t, where we have taken for the force vibration with the harmonic excitation, we have taken the f of t is equal to p cos lambda t. We have taken for this case, right? What we are right now discussing. For this, if you find out the two solution, one is for the complementary function and other for the particular integral, and you have said that when the time t tends to infinity, your vibration which goes into the steady state condition. And for steady state condition, your majority of the things has been governed by the particular integral case. So the value you have defined in this. So this value will be the amplitude into cosine function. That is what you have seen. I will just go back to my previous slides. Then you will remember for this curve, we have said here is when you have found out this value, you can see this is nothing but this is my amplitude and this is my cosine function. So if I write this is as a x, this is my sum amplitude x into cosine term, right? So this is nothing but amplitude which I'm defining as a x. So this term will be coming like, you can see this. So this is nothing but x cos lambda t minus theta, right? Okay. Now let us take first derivation of this x dot of t. Then this will be coming minus x lambda, cos will become minus sign. So minus sign will be here, lambda t minus theta. If I convert this sine into the cos, there is a phase difference of pi by 2. So this equation in terms of cos will be x lambda cos pi by 2 plus lambda t minus theta. Since the minus will come down, this minus will become plus. Then in this cosine term, if you take one more derivation, then this will be x lambda square will come out and this will be, you can say this value. However, this will be sine terms. But if I take, you can see the another phase difference, then the pi by 2 plus pi by 2 will become pi, and this will again, you can see the converted into the cos term this way. This two, how I have done this, the same way I'm putting, you can see the final formula. This will be converted to sine and then sine will convert it to cos. So this will come into this. So this, all the formula is in the cos now, right? Now see, for this condition, if I want to establish, I can have a three different condition. First is if my r is less than 1, right? What we have defined for this case, r is less than 1. I am defining this first zone. R is equivalent to 1. So means this case, and then r is greater than 1, right? This three case I am defining. So r is less than 1, where generally lambda by omega ratio is less than 1. Right? So lambda is less than omega, and my phase angle, which will be less than pi by 2. How this will be coming, I will let you know. Similarly, r is equal to 1, lambda is equal to omega, and theta is generally phase angle will be pi by 2. And if my r is greater than 1, lambda is greater than omega, then generally my phase angle will be greater than pi by 2. Now what I am trying to do is, I am going to draw the force diagram or force polygon for this. So let us draw with the scale. Since this is all are the vectors, first I will try to draw this Fs. Fs is nothing but your spring force. Spring force is nothing but value is kx. So first I have plotted this with some axis. Then you are going to draw the damping force. As you know, the damping force is the derivative. Here you can see this is the displacement and this is your single derivative of displacement. So which is having a generally a phase difference of pi by 2. So this will be the perpendicular to this generally. So this will be perpendicular, whatever the value has been coming, you can put it here. From this, I need to plot now the inertia force, because any vibration is having the component which is inertia force, damping force, and the spring force. So if I plot inertia force, which is again, you can see the perpendicular to this, because this is x dot and this is x double dot. So my inertia force, which will be in this direction, which is having phase difference of pi between Fs and Fi. So to make this theta is less than pi by 2, if I join this particular force polygon with f of t, which is my external force, which is this, and this angle, to put this angle which is less than pi by 2, my Fi should not be more than this. So in this condition, what is my governing case is, here if you can see what is the big value in this all polygon, which is the governing equation, which is the most bigger force. So if you see amongst all the forces, you can see this my Fs value, which will be the highest one. It is having a maximum length or the biggest force. So I can say that this is combination of what? K. So this Fs is governed by the stiffness. So this is nothing but the stiffness control zone. So that is what we have written here. So for this zone, this is what the mathematical expression. This is nothing but my stiffness control zone. Similarly, if I take my third case, which is this, r is greater than 1, lambda is greater than omega, and theta is greater than pi by 2. Let us see. So first I will draw Fs, then Fd, which is perpendicular to this. Now to make theta is greater than pi by 2, I need to put this particular term which is little longer, in so that my f of t will be like this and this pi by 2 will be this. So in this also, if you see the governing forces, so here the governing force is inertia force, which is the biggest force here. So this inertia force is governed by which parameter? Which is nothing but m. So this is nothing but it is the mass control zone. So whatever we have said here, this is a mathematical expression of this. This is what is my mass controlled zone. Similarly, if I take my second case, then I can say that this is my Fs I am plotting with some scale, then Fd, which is perpendicular to this, Fi, which is like this. To make theta is equal to pi by 2, I need to put this and this is equal, right? So this is my f of t and this is exactly equal to pi by 2. But I can play with this Fd term. If I increase or decrease the value of Fd, then still this my pi by 2 is nothing to change. So the Fd is nothing but my damping force. So this third zone or the central zone is my damping control zone. So this is what we have explained. This is my third zone, which is nothing but it is my damper control zone. So with help of the Maxwell diagram, you can actually take the discussion on this, how to put it up, all this zone with help of mathematical expression. Now, let us also have some discussion on phase angle versus frequency ratio, how to plot this particular curve, right? So if you see this equation, what we have said is the ratio of xs upon xt is equal to some amplitude. What we have said is it's a DMF cos of lambda t minus theta. Already you have said DMF is 1 minus under root of 1 minus r square plus 2 eta r whole square. That is what you have defined earlier. In this equation, if you see the tan theta is nothing but 2 eta omega lambda upon omega square minus lambda square, and this value, if you put the divided by the omega square on both the side, then this expression in terms of r will come. This is already we have done earlier. Same equation I am putting it. So in this case, what is going to happen is I am taking another two cases. First is in this equation, if I take eta is equal to 0, if I put the eta is equal to 0 in this, so this is 0, right? So this is 0, so whole equation will be 0. So when, if the tan theta is equal to 0, then what will be the value of theta? So in this case, if you can find out, then theta value will be either 0 or 180 degree. Am I right? When you put eta is equal to 0 in this equation, then the possibility of theta will be, for tan theta is equal to 0, theta may be either a 0 or maybe 180. So I need to consider these two cases. When my theta is equal to 0 and r is less than 1, I need to plot the things. When theta is equal to pi, r is greater than 1, I need to plot the things. And for r is equal to 1 and theta is equal to pi by 2, right? Let's see this. So if you, I will take, you can see the summation of this and I will plot this particular things. Okay. So you can put this all the values in this. Okay, you can take the different value of r is less than 1, r is greater than 1, and also the r is equal to 1, and you find out, you can say what is the value of theta, and in this equation you can put eta is equal to 0 and use different value of r which is less than 1. You take theta is equal to pi and use different value of r which is greater than 1, and you take r is equal to 1 and you take the theta is equal to pi, find out, you can see the value of theta, right? R is equal to 1, eta is equal to 0, and find out the value of theta here, right? So this way your value will be coming. So if I plot this particular, on this particular Maxwell diagram, sorry, on this particular phase angle versus frequency ratio curve, so on the y-axis there will be theta, on the x-axis there will be the frequency ratio. As my frequency ratio has been changing to 2 value, which is varies from 0 to pi. So I can write it here. So this is 0, then I will put pi by 2 and then pi, right? Because my theta is varies between these two. Similarly, if I take the value of r, so which is r is less than 1, r is greater than 1, and r is equal to 1. Now for r is equal to 1 and eta is equal to 0, calculate all these values so that the first value will be coming this, where my r is equal to 0, eta is equal to 0, and what will be my value of theta? So that theta value will be coming 0, right? Then if you take r is equal to 1, eta is equal to 0, right? So in this case, the theta which will be value will be coming this and this, right? So, and third thing, that if you can plot it, you can say for r is greater than 1. So you take, you can say the number of value which is r is greater than 1, eta is equal to 0, and find out the phase angle, you will get this particular line. So if you plot this, then you will get this particular diagram. Similarly, if I take in this way, that if I'm taking eta which is non-zero, means I will take the different value of eta, and same way if I put r is equal to 1, r is equal to 0, and r is equal to infinity, then what will be the value of theta is been coming, right? So in this case, if you put it these values, then you will find out this particular curve which will be like this. So this will be the general curves which you will get if you put those values, right? So you can see this as I'm plotting this value. This is for highest value of eta. This is if you lower down this eta and then lower down this eta. As you are decreasing the value of eta, your graph is moving to the leftward side. So this way you can plot this particular phase angle versus damping ratio curves, right? So this is what is the explanation of as a whole for the force vibration with harmonic excitation. We have defined first the complete solution. Then we have defined how to plot DMF versus frequency ratio. Then we have seen where it is going to be used in the case of machine foundation. What is the application of it? So that we have defined what are the controlled mechanism for designing. And then finally, with help of the Maxwell diagram, we have given the mathematical, you can see the proof of this. And then finally, we have seen the phase angle versus damping, phase angle versus, you can see the frequency ratio, how to plot those curves for different value of eta and the r. So this is what the explanation of this. Now just one theory has been remaining to complete this particular course. That is, I will take one more theory here, which is force vibration due to rotating imbalance, which is almost in line with what the theory we have seen for force vibration with the harmonic excitation. Okay. So here, if you see, this is what your machine is or what your mass is. So I will take the weight of this mass is capital M, which is a big mass, and over which I am putting the small mass, which is the eccentric mass. This eccentric mass, which is putting at the value of centroid, from the centroid, this mass is having an eccentricity or the distance of small e. So this is small mass, which has been rotating like this, which has been rotating like this. And because of this rotation, the entire block is subjected to the vibration, which is being connected to stiffness K and the value of C. Sometime it may also happen that this is what your block is and this is your centroid. It may happen that from the here you can say at some distance you will have one mass which is rotating in this way, and you may have, you can say from some distance here, some mass will be rotating in this way. So this is a two mass system. That is also you can actually analyze. Okay, I am right now deriving the equation or expression what we have done till now for force vibration for single rotating mass, right? You can do it for the double rotating mass also in the same way. So if I take capital M is the total mass, so mass of the system plus eccentric mass together. So this M is having included the mass of this small m, right? And which is having the displacement of x of t, right? Okay. So again, I'm repeating, this capital M is a combination of its own weight of this big block plus small m together, right? So there is nothing but the capital M. Now let's see the free body diagram of this. So if I draw the free body diagram, then I can say that this will be a K. This is the big block of mass M, which includes this small m. And this particular, if I draw in this way, this is what your mass is, right? Which is having a phase angle of lambda t, right? So what will be this value, which is nothing but E. This is nothing but this is a value is E. So if you take the sine value, then this value will be coming E lambda sine lambda t. So this is what E sine lambda t, right? So this is what the displacement of the small m. The whole block is having a displacement of x of t, right? So let us try to develop this particular relation. So for this particular combined mass, if I take in this way, the capital M, this is the weight of whole block, including mass m minus small m, and its total displacement of what is happening, x double dot, which is this, right? Plus mass, small mass is having, you can say the is subjected to vibration. So if I define the displacement of the spring, which is the combination of these two, so which is m into d square by dt square into x, which is my x of t, plus this displacement, which is nothing but E sine lambda t. So this is the second one. So what I have done is I have taken individual inertia force and I have taken the just for the small mass inertia force. So I am having a big block, which is a combination. So if I subtract the small mass, then this will be the, you can say that without the small m, and this is with small m. I have taken, you can say, two individual things. Plus the displacement of the spring will be same in both the cases. So which is x dot and kx, right? Which is equals to 0. If you simplify this, then this will be mx double dot minus small mx, then this will be plus mx, small mx, minus me lambda square, because you need to do the double derivative of this. So minus me lambda square sine lambda t plus cx plus kx. So if you remove it, then this will be gone. So this equation will be, governing equation will be mx double dot plus cx plus kx is equal to me lambda square sine lambda t. This value will be coming. So if I take this value as a q, suppose I am assuming this as a q because it is a constant value or it is the amplitude of this sine term or a harmonic term. So if I assume this as a q, I will take this as a q, then this equation will be q sine lambda t, where I am taking q is equal to me lambda square. Have you seen this equation before? Just now we have established for force vibration with the harmonic excitation in a previous case with a similar equation. So if you do the entire thing, if you see the, we have taken, you can say in the last time, which is the p sine lambda t or p cos lambda t. That is what we have assumed. You can say the last time here there is a q in place of p. So the equation is same. So the same way for this equation, you can derive the complementary function, particular integral, and then you can say you can define the value of a and b, and that way you can find out the complete solution. Again, the complete solution is having a two part. One is the exponentially decreasing amplitude and other is the harmonic amplitude, which is a sine. If you combine it, again, you will get this curve like this. This whole process you need to do. You can say if you draw the response till this particular thing, which is the similar, right? If you see in the last example, what you have done is your value will be this. You have assumed it is a p cos lambda t. Here is the value is q sin lambda t. That's it, right? So for this equation you have already done. Here only the replacement is q sin lambda t. You can do it with the same way up to this. And here again with this graph you can say that this when the t tends to infinity, when I'm saying my steady state vibration, which is governing by particular integral term. So in this equation, you can do it in this way, and I'm writing directly this particular term. If you've been given an examination, you need to derive those stuff up to till this particular plotting of this curve, and then I'm going further. So which is remain same. So excess of t, which is nothing but your equation will be q by k sin lambda t minus theta upon under root of 1 minus r square plus 2 eta r whole square. So in a earlier case, you will have a p by k. Here there is a q by k. There is a value cos. Here we have taken sine. So here coming is sine. That is only the difference. So if you see, this value is nothing but the amplitude of the sine curve. So I can replace this term as a x, right? So this value will be x s of t is equal to x sine lambda t minus theta, where the value of x is this, which is q by k 1 minus r square whole square plus 2 eta r whole square. Now let us put the value of q back. So the q is equal to m e lambda square upon capital M omega square, because the k is nothing but m omega square, right? Capital M omega square upon 1 minus r square plus 2 eta r whole square, same way. Now if you multiply, if you see this lambda square by omega